Over the past few years, Liverpool has been one of the strongest clubs in the entire world. They've been consistently dominant in both England and Europe, demanding respect from even opposing football fans throughout every corner of the globe. But it wasn't so long ago that they were once the most disrespected and joked about club in England, going through one of the roughest droughts in football history. If you could go a few years back in the past and tell a lifelong fan where their club would be at today, there's no way they'd believe it. But after what looked like a potentially record-breaking year, Liverpool fell just short of winning the Premier League and the Champions League. Now, with important pieces leaving the club and an uncertain future, are they headed back down or will they continue to be one of the best? Let's take a quick look at how the club once again came to greatness and see if they still have what it takes to make a push to the top, or if this is the end of Liverpool's dominance. A few years ago, we all heard the jokes. Liverpool were a shell of their former selves and have been memed for not having won the league title for damn near 3 decades. Heck, when I first started my channel, they haven't won anything since even before my parents got married in the early 90s. But in the 2013-2014 season, they looked like they were on track to finally break the spell and win their first title since 1990. Until Steven Gerrard's iconic slip that cost them the title.
Gerrard, he slipped on his fork, he lost, he gave it to Denver Bar.
One of their greatest players, Luis Suarez, had left the club, Brendan Rodgers was sacked, Gerrard, as beloved as he was, had left the club, and their new signings and formations just didn't cut it. Liverpool's future looked lost, until in 2015 the club went back to the drawing board and decided to make a change. In came Jurgen Klopp, the man who, with his brilliance and ability, could make a winning culture and squad out of the fewest of resources. He had to study the league, look at all their players, look at the state of the footballing world, and see what he had to do to make small adjustments, and look at the perfect players to sign on board on their road to glory. He had to make the change and rebuild the squad from the ground up, and just like Klopp, there's no better way of keeping up with everything going on in football than with today's sponsor, OneFootball. OneFootball is the all-in-one app designed for football fans. With OneFootball, you can see all the live scores, stats, and news headlines to keep you up to date with the world of football and everything in it. OneFootball lets you personalize your news and notifications to make it easy to follow your favorite teams and players. You can even break down all the small details and statistics to look at how certain players performed and every single development during the match as it happens. Their lightning-fast match updates make it so that you never miss a goal. Their best feature is without a doubt watching live matches, post-game highlights, and other videos all in one place. Even follow the latest transfer news or footballing drama so you're always in the know. You can also see match schedules, scores, stats, and everything else from leagues all over the world, so you never miss out on any of that sweet, sweet football action. So click the link in the description to download OneFootball today and never miss out on your favorite clubs, leagues, or players again. And make sure you are one with football. But Liverpool's rise would take patience and improve slowly throughout every season. Like they say, Rome wasn't built in a day. It would take belief and support from the club's front office and small changes every season to finally get to where they are today. Klopp would change the club's formation to a 4-3-3 and implement a very aggressive style of defending known as the Gagan Press, where a team would press as quickly and aggressively as possible to continuously regain possession. But such an aggressive style was very new to Liverpool. They had never been a team where pace, stamina, and pressing were the biggest emphasis on their defense, so naturally, adjustments would take time. In order for such a playstyle and tactic to work as well as it does today, there are several factors. Most importantly, it takes a lot of stamina and energy to do, so Liverpool had to opt into building a squad that had younger and fresher legs and keep up with the intensity of the continuous pressing. I'm sure many of you who have played before can know just how tiring it is to be continuously playing such a high level of defense, especially for the midfielders and fullbacks. You need to be at the best physical condition to be able to keep this up all game. With that being said, you can't have slow players as well. You'll need as much pace as possible to continue the strategy throughout your starting 11 and bench. And by association, usually this means older midfielders and forwards are not an option for Klopp's footballing philosophy. Liverpool also needs to bolster their attack by finding more attacking-oriented players, particularly with their wingers, midfielders, and fullbacks. The main purpose of the Gagan Press is to keep pressing until you finally attain possession and never letting your opponent breathe. It's not the most perfect strategy out there, but when done right, it can be one of the most difficult to go against even for the best possession retaining clubs out there. But this was the vision that Klopp had for the club, but like I said, it would take some time before he finally built the squad that would be perfect for it. As good as the manager is, it's still ultimately up to the players on how they perform. All he can do is manage the roster, the rotations, and the ideal playstyle the squad should be going by for what they have. The rest is up to the players. During Klopp's first season, the best players they had were Roberto Firmino, Daniel Sturridge, Jordan Henderson, and Felipe Coutinho. Not exactly full of superstars. They finished at just 8th place in the league table. There needed to be much bigger changes. Of the 28 players that Klopp originally had in the squad, only 4 were left by 2020. That's a whopping 86% change to their personnel, almost completely replacing the entire squad. Sure, a club can spend as much money as they want and get the best players they want, but for Klopp and Liverpool, their signings were made while getting the most value out of players and spending as less as possible for quality talent that fits perfectly for the squad. Following 2016-27 season, they would add some of the most important players to their lineup: Sadio, Monet, and Trent Alexander-Arnold. Monet was signed from Southampton for £30 million. A steal, looking back at how valuable he's been for the club and how he's blossomed as a goal scorer and facilitator. One of the most important players for the club since he came on board. And of course, you can't forget Trent Alexander-Arnold, who's been one of the best young players in the world for quite some time now. Coming out of Liverpool's youth program and immediately being given a huge role for the club. This time, they would finish 4th in the league table, slowly starting to build steam. Then in the 2017-18 season, they would add another huge addition to their club: Mohamed Salah, Virgil van Dijk, and Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. Now, one thing about Klopp, he always manages to bring the best out of his players. He's been known to never look down on players, disrespect them, or have any problems in the locker room. Klopp's discipline is straightforward and private. He'll never talk bad about any of his players in the media, and for that, they get his trust and respect. When Mo Salah joined the club, he was far from a top striker, but under this Liverpool team, he became world class. Van Dijk was also the perfect center back to add to the squad for his speed, stamina, and decisive defense. While they did finish 4th in the league, you could tell Liverpool were on the rise as they battled their way to the Champions League final against a prime BBC Real Madrid, beating clubs like Man City, Porto, and Roma along the way. Liverpool fans were finally starting to feel hope once more for the coming seasons, and the club was put on the world's notice. Monet and Salah were starting to become beasts and some of the top forwards in the world, while Trent Alexander-Arnold was becoming one of the best in the world at his position at such a young age. Not to mention, Virgil van Dijk was becoming one of the world's most elite defenders. Then came the 2018-19 season. Liverpool's presence could no longer be ignored as they stormed through the Champions League. Who can forget the way they dominated Bayern Munich and Porto, or even the iconic comeback versus Barcelona that broke football Twitter? They would add players like Alisson Becker, Fabinho, Keita, and Shaqiri, which would be the final pieces to Klopp's ideal squad. Although losing the Premier League title by a single point to Man City, Salah and Mane were one of the most feared goal-scoring duos in the world, scoring a combined 55 goals in all competitions. Then finally, in the 2019-2020 season, for the first time in 30 years, they would finally be crowned champions of England once more. Just a few years ago, they were the running joke of the Premier League, and now they were once again, without a doubt, solidified as one of the strongest clubs in the world. Now fast forward to 2022 and Liverpool was, pun intended, red hot. In the Premier League, there was a point in time where they were nearly double digits behind the top of the league table, even behind Chelsea at one point, until they went on a tear towards the end of the season, beating them in the Carabao Cup and FA Cup final as well to rub salt on the wound. They were undefeated in the Champions League group stages to beat AC Milan, Atletico Madrid, Villarreal, and Inter Milan on their way to a third Champions League final in the Klopp era. I'm sure many of you non-Liverpool fans on social media could see how hyped their fans were, and seemingly almost arrogant at some point. But just like in 2019, they would lose the league title race by a single point to no other than Man City once more. But it wasn't all so bad. The Champions League final was still there. In fact, they were heavy favorites to win it all. They were even undefeated for 13 consecutive matches before the final. But as many of you know, despite their incredible performance against Real Madrid, sometimes in football it just takes one chance to win it all. And unfortunately for Liverpool, it was Real Madrid who got that one lucky chance. I'm sure many of you heard sports analysts and pundits say, if it was a boxing match, Liverpool would have won based on points. Now the club, especially Mo Salah, has been memed for tweets about getting revenge, celebrating too early, and being the first club to be runner-up celebrating on the same day as the champions. If you go on Twitter and Instagram comments, many people are saying that they're finished and this will be the last time they'll ever get to the Champions League final again, claiming that their path was Mickey Mouse. Additionally, one of their most important pieces since he joined the club was Sadio Mane, and he'll no longer be part of the squad next season. Mane was arguably one of, if not the most important player on their offense, for his playmaking, dribbling, and passing. There are even rumors about Mo Salah questioning if he'll stay on the club next season as well, saying that his future with Liverpool is uncertain. Those two were essentially the heart and soul of Liverpool's offense, and they definitely won't be as good without them. But despite all the hate and trolling going on, although I don't think they'll be as good without them, this definitely isn't their downfall quite yet. In fact, Jurgen Klopp says he's not worried at all. Klopp was even seen at a club partying a few days after the final, and while it can be seen as a little arrogant to non-Liverpool supporters, you have to remember Liverpool was down bad for 30 years. For their players to show confidence and celebrate their achievements does not mean the club is going to see its downfall. Klopp is a brilliant manager and the club is full of talent. If they make the right moves and make the right replacements, they can continue to be dominant. Liverpool was down bad for 30 years while at the same time, Man United saw their most successful era. Now the roles are reversed and Man United is down bad while Liverpool is thriving. It's how it goes in football, the times always change and the eras are always going up and down for certain clubs. But anyways, what do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts and predictions on Liverpool's future in the comment section below, and leave a like if you enjoyed to support the channel. Thanks for watching till the end, and I'll see you in the next one.